This is my sermon illustration video for sermon preparation. This illustration will be in between point 1 and point 2. Point 1 being that we must remember the fullness of God. Point 2 being that we must remember the fullness of man. Talking about light and darkness, light and life, how those things coincide and go together. And I just remember the first time I had ever went on a international mission trip to Calgary, Canada. One thing that I quickly realized as I enter this big city, kind of like I always describe it as New York, but like in a country town. It's a big city, it's a very populated city, but it's spread out, and there's really not a ton of people, but there is a large amount of homeless people. Matter of fact, in Calgary, they have the largest drop-in homeless shelter in North America. And something that was interesting about this drop-in shelter was that it's massive. It's a large shelter, and you could imagine that because there's so many homeless people coming around it, that it has lights scattered all around the top, and you can really pretty much see it from anywhere in the city. And the place where we stayed is literally 10 yards away from it. And so one thing that I remember as I go to this city the first time is I looked at this big drop-in building, and I think to myself, if I ever get lost in this city, if I ever don't know where I'm at, all I have to do is look up, and I have to just see that this big building is there. And I really got to put this to action whenever I went out by myself one day to go get coffee or something. And it was late at night, so it was dark, and it was already kind of eerie outside, and I got lost. As I went to look at my phone and look at the map to see how to get back, my phone was dead, and so the train wasn't running anymore, and I had no clue where I was, how to get back, and no way to know where to get back. And you would think, Dustin, you would just look up and see that this big drop-in building with all these lights around it would be your guidance home. Well, I didn't do that. My natural instinct is to try to figure out how to do things by myself. And so I'm trying to just figure my way out, going down all of these different streets. And it didn't work. I never found my way back because I was trying to go off of what I thought was best for me. But whenever I really begin to just step back and understand, like, I don't know where I'm at. Obviously, my own instincts aren't going to get me back because they haven't. And so I took a step back and I said, how am I going to get back? And in this moment, it was like this great awakening. But I realized all I have to do is look up. All I have to do is look for this big, massive building with bright lights all around it. And whenever I finally came to a realization of I can't do this by myself, and I got to look towards the light, look to this thing that I have already established and already know will lead me back to where I need to go, that's whenever I begin to find my way home. That's whenever I began to find my way to this idea of comfort, this idea of safety. When I began to follow the light and go towards the light out of this very eerie darkness situation and towards the light, I began to feel peace, I began to feel comfortable, and I knew exactly where to go, and I knew exactly how to get there. So that is my sermon illustration for point 1 and point 2, mediated between those two, talking about light and darkness and how to get back there. Remembering how to get back to the darkness. Remembering how to get back to the light and how we need to get there.